Hello to all of my BPTV fans, YouTube fans, and new fans, plus the fans of my great guests that I have on today. Thank you for all the great feedback and opinions and whatever else you put out there. I appreciate it and respect it. I'm Alan Levine, the Talking Machine. I'm doing my 36th Talking Machine show. I have another great guest. Please introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Shonda Weisbrod, and yeah.
I have you here today to find out about you, because my theme is to put great people on and inspire others that you can do some of the things that Shonda does. And we're going to talk about first, where were you born?
I was born in Baton Rouge, Louisiana.
And we don't ask women their ages. And
I don't mind. I'm a beautiful 35 years old.
I respect that. Thank you. Where did you go to school at?
My last school?
From grade school. Where did you start at school?
I started off at Dalton Elementary, and I ended up at Bel Air High School.
Okay.
Then I went to the trade school, St. Marcus, in Texas.
Growing up, did you ever play sports?
No, I didn't. I tried to play basketball, but it wasn't for me.
Well, you got some height, though, so I thought
I know.
you might
So I'm
have.
a model in society. I always wanted to be a model, so I became a model in society.
When did you do that?
As soon as when I noticed I wasn't going to be a model, because it was hard to
Okay.
become a model back then. So
I understand. How tall are you?
I'm 5'10" and a half.
They like the tall models, though.
Yep. I always considered myself as a tall drink of water. I used to really hate being tall. No, seriously. And then somebody told me that I was a tall drink of water, and I took that as a positive about myself. So I didn't shrink like this. You know how some people stand like that.
Yeah.
I always stand tall now.
No, I understand. See, I have the opposite. I'm the tallest. I was the firstborn. I have 3 sisters. We're born 4 of us in 5 years, so we're all close. And they go, how'd you get all the height? They're 5 foot, all 3 of them. They took after my dad's family. I took after my mother's side, so I got the height, and it helped me in sports and all that.
Yeah, I just didn't get into the sports. I do like volleyball, but basketball was not my
Oh, really?
thing. Yeah.
No, I understand. Basketball's in my family. My dad was a great basketball referee in Western Pennsylvania, did City League championship games. Enough about me. No sports. How'd you do in school?
I did okay. Not
Enough
great.
to pass.
Well, I guess, yeah. It was certain subjects I just didn't like.
Understand.
Yeah, like politics and, I enjoyed a little bit of history, but not much, because it wasn't enough about me in the history books. And I mean me, people like myself, wasn't in
Believe
history
me,
books.
I understand that.
Yeah.
And I'm blessed growing up Jewish. I love the Bible and all that and all the links with Levine, the Levi tribe. So that's special
Those were
meaning
singers.
and things for me growing up. So I respect that. Do you have any brothers and sisters?
I have 3 brothers. I'm the only girl.
You're like me, only I'm the only boy.
Yes.
We're youngest, oldest, or in between?
I'm second to the oldest.
Okay. No, very good. My sister, second, the oldest, is 14 months younger than me.
Okay.
How close are you to your
I'm
brother?
very close to my brothers, except of course now I'm way up here, but I'm still very close to them.
Nice.
Yeah.
And
They're all my favorite, by the way.
understand.
Yeah.
I respect you even more for that. And you had good parents?
My dad was killed when I was 8.
Oh my
And
goodness,
I
that's
was-
terrible.
Yeah, I was raised as a single mom. By a single mom. And then I became a single mom, of course, eventually. But
Things happen in life,
yeah,
as we know.
Yeah.
I was a single parent too, so.
it was a great adventure, ups and downs. But I feel like that was my greatest accomplishment, raising my children.
How many do you have? Because I've seen some that look like your sisters.
Yeah, I have 5. I have 3 boys and 2 girls.
And your girls are as beautiful as you, when
Thank
I've
you.
seen the pictures.
Thank you.
And I think I even met a grandson of yours at a couple events that Andre was babysitting.
Oh, yeah, Tyreek.
Yes.
I'm sure he remembers you whenever he sees you.
Well, I did talk to him, and little kids and dogs love me, so it works out well.
He's 11 now, by the way.
Oh my goodness,
Yeah.
that got to be 8 years or 9 years ago when he went to Jessica Lee shows.
Yeah.
Where does the time go?
I don't know. It does fly, doesn't it?
Well, I'm so glad we met 12 years ago to do the Hug-a-thon Pittsburgh with Joanne Quinn Smith, Joanne Forrester, and Mary Pam Kilgore, and through Jessica Lee shows and things like that.
Yeah.
What brought you to Pittsburgh?
Well, Hurricane Katrina, first of all, kicked me out of Louisiana. That was actually the best thing that ever happened. Even though it was a tragedy, it was a blessing to me and my family. We left Louisiana in 2005. We ended up in New Concord, Ohio.
No way.
Right down the street from John Glenn's house.
Very famous man.
Right. Didn't know anything about him. Even though I heard about him, it wasn't until we were there that I was like,
You
oh,
learned.
wow.
You actually learned about him.
I like that kind of learning where you walk into it rather than somebody tell you about it. And it's like your imagination isn't
Yeah.
as
See, I'm the opposite of you. I've always been interested in history. I read history today because I want to learn how people were way back when. We haven't changed much. There's still racism and sexism out there. Our
Right.
country was born and bred with it, and it hasn't changed much. It's gotten better on some things, but then lately I don't even want to talk about politics.
Right, let's not talk about politics. I remember.
We just touched on that because it affected our lives.
Right, but do you know it's actually many blood-sucking creatures. That's what it means.
We won't talk anymore because you're describing friends of mine. Thank you very much. And I use the term
Okay.
friends loosely.
Okay.
So you made it up here. Katrina was a nightmare. Me being a sports guy with how they had to live and, you know, the Superdome, how that was, and people were trying to survive there, and food and water were at a premium.
Right, and and you know what? Looking at what's going on right now in Tampa, it reminds me of what happened in Louisiana. The
Great
flooding,
point.
water, everything. So seeing that this morning was like standing right back in Louisiana.
Give you a
with all-
flashback.
Oh yeah,
No
but not
doubt.
because all the water. I mean, it was a place I saw the southernmost point. I remember standing there with Andre, and to see it flooded was like, wow. I have a picture right in my when you walk
I'd love
in.
to see that picture.
Yeah, and I'm standing right near that big thing, and to see it flooded was like, wow.
No,
it was
it's
definitely
amazing.
a flashback.
All I can say is God is great. He's led my
All the
life on
time.
my journeys.
Yes.
Because some people go, wow, how do you know all these people? How have you done all these things? And you're very similar to that.
On my way here, I was thinking, I wonder how many people you actually know. And I thought in my mind, 5,000. Would you be able to write out 5,000 names of people that you know? 'Cause
I know
you know
more.
a lot of people.
I know more. I run into trouble. A friend of mine posted something who was a guest on my show. He's a runner. He had some mental issues and health issues, and running cured that. And he runs marathons. So he's running with somebody, and he said, this Josh Rulnick is one of the best people I know. Here it's my second cousin. He runs charity marathons for his mother with breast cancer and other women. He's just a great individual. So I just meet people through that. And I'm sure you know thousands of people too.
I think I know quite a few people as well, but probably not more than a talking machine. No.
I appreciate your compliments. No. Well, my biggest question is, how and when did you meet Andre?
I met Andre in 2006, 7-ish. It was right after, we stayed in New Concord for about a year.
Okay.
Then I met him online on, believe it or not, MySpace. Right, babe?
Whoa,
Yeah.
you're going back.
Right. I remember writing something about I was with a zero and I was looking for a hero. And eventually I met him in a bubble on the little,
MySpace.
yeah, it was, you had to get your camera, you get to talk. And so we did that. And that was a turn
You
of
just
events.
clicked.
Yeah.
No,
Sorta,
things like
kinda.
that happen.
Sort of, kind of. We did click, but he made this face and I said I would never date him. And before I knew it, I was dating him and now I'm married to him.
Well, we're going to talk about that later. All right.
Yeah.
But I wanted to find out when you did meet him.
It was actually 2006, right, babe?
Okay. He's here nodding his head that we can't see.
Yeah.
So, no, that's very interesting. And what kind of work were you doing up here?
Well, I started a catering business,
And she can outcook the talking machine every minute of the day.
yeah, you love my pecan pie. So does what's the football?
Smoking Jim.
Yep, and what's the football player that I met?
Franco Harris.
Franco Harris, he loves my pecan pies as
We're
well.
all good guys.
Don't forget me, Franco.
Glad I could introduce you to him at a Jessica Lee show.
Absolutely.
He's one of the nicest guys you'll meet. You never would know that he's a Steeler legend.
Right, he's very humble.
Yeah, he truly is. And he helps plenty of people in Pittsburgh.
Right.
And he loves your pecan pie. I
Right.
recommend it twice. It's very good.
Yes.
And,
Thank you for that, by the way.
Oh, you're welcome. It's heartfelt. So you started a catering business, and who were your customers? Because you're new here, and I always think it's hard to start a business in general and yet not know anybody.
Right. Well,
Give
the
me a couple
networking-
insights.
Well, Jessica Lee, I can't remember the guy's name that Jessica Lee introduced me to. I want to say Steve, but I don't think that was his name.
Okay.
And so we met at this place, and I started cooking for them, and they are the ones that said it should be a catering business.
Oh, okay.
Right. And so I started Etouffee Catering. That was a good but hard business, you know,
Sure.
catering to others, trying to bring a taste of the South to the North. There's a lot of Southern food here. It is not authentic.
Tell
let
me
me
your
tell
favorite. Tell me your favorite dish, Southern dish.
I love crawfish etouffee, and I love gumbo. So I can't. There's a both of those. Can I say
Can I
both
vote
of
for
them?
gumbo? You can have both.
Yes, I do love gumbo. Love making it too, but no okra.
No okra.
No okra.
See, I like greens. I like okra, so I'm welcome in many different households.
You know what? I believe if you put it in last for a few people, that's good. They'll take it or leave it.
Give them their taste.
Yeah, give it to them in a bowl on the side.
Interesting.
Yeah, but not for me because it's the slime.
And what's your favorite pie?
My favorite pie is the pecan pie. Love,
on.
love the pecan pie.
And with me, you asked if you had to change anything with sugar. I'll eat it straight up, just like it is.
I'm gonna make you a pie with. I did make it with less sugar. That's part of why I think my pie tastes so good because I did change the sugar level on it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I watch my sugar and salt. I haven't added salt to anything since I've been in high school.
I don't
With my
use much
meals.
salt unless boiling, and I have to use salt.
Right. Well,
But cakes and stuff, no salt.
I usually put like garlic and herbs and spices in there and mix it up. Like in my last dish that you like, my veggie dish, I had fresh basil that I put in.
I can't wait to try your food. It always looks so good.
Well,
And I-
people say I have a nice presentation.
It is a very beautiful presentation.
And I learned a long time ago, eat colorful fruit and veggies.
Mm-hmm.
And I practice that. But no,
That's a good practice.
yeah, well, I keep trying, and we'll have to make a date for that.
Absolutely. So I can tell the people that you really can cook. Teach
You-
me a thing or two.
Maybe I could, but my hat goes off to you. So now you're in the catering business, you're meeting other people. Like Jessica Lee's a great connector,
Yes,
great friend of
yes.
mine, is great with all of us and what she does in the community. Just, you talk about a resource there.
Very
and the people
much.
that she knows.
Right.
It's just unreal, and the things we've done. So you're catering to like private people, business people, or
I'm no longer catering now. I went from catering to entrepreneuring with Andre. We were doing Think of Us Travel. And
I was going to bring that up. Thank
Yep.
you for saving a question.
yeah, so after the flop, could I call it that?
Okay. You call it whatever it is. It's your life.
Yeah,
and
it
we're
was-
showing people the examples how you overcome things.
Yeah, it was just a hard business. You know, you find out what you like and then what you don't like,
Right.
and then you either choose to keep going or you don't. I ended up going, if you don't mind, to Nikki's kitchen, which is Bistro to Go. I was
Yeah,
making
you can-
cakes and stuff for her. Love that, but she was a great example of drive when it comes to working in a restaurant. And I found that I didn't want to work in a restaurant because you actually become married to the restaurant. You're there day and night. And no, I didn't want that. So I kind of backed away from catering.
Well, I could see why. I mean, we do passionate things, but when our passion at things not working well for us,
Mm-hmm.
and we sort of think it's a burden, then it's
Yeah.
a problem. Like with me cooking all these meals on Facebook, I've been doing it for over 30 years.
Mm-hmm.
Even with my kids, I'd cook. I'd made them eat salmon. I even did liver and onions one time for them.
You tortured them with liver and onions?
I'm a good dad. You got to see what they do to it.
I'll never forget I tried that. Oh,
I love it to this day, but they did not.
well, you couldn't get me to eat that to this day. My mom used to make us eat that.
Right.
I would come in, the house would smell so good. I'm thinking it's fried chicken. And then I look in the skillet and it's liver. I'm like, oh. But hey, I made it through that tragedy.
It made you who you are today.
Yep, trying good foods.
Well, my point is, you're talking about you were doing your passion and it wasn't working for you. They want me to open a restaurant. And I go, I just retired from a job in a production department doing what people said, and it was a boring job. I like to cook. If I had to make all your meals on a nightly basis, guess who wouldn't like that?
You wouldn't, because that's a lot of food to cook.
Exactly. Plus, I'm giving healthy, good food, and they'd like it.
Right.
So I'd have more of a problem. But that's me. I didn't even get into it.
I still enjoy cooking. I enjoy baking. I just like doing it on my own terms.
Yeah.
And then we tried the travel business, and
Yeah. What's up with that?
that was a lot of fun. But then we went into, what is it that came? The pandemic.
Yes. COVID.
That came, and that gave me
shuts you
time.
down. Yeah.
Yeah, but it also gave me time to think if this is something I really wanted to do. I like travel, and I like sharing my travel. But do I like being on the phone calling people and
No.
planning their trips for them? No. So that helped me discover that was something I didn't want to do either. I want to just travel.
All right. Now we're step by step. We got about 3 minutes to go.
Okay.
What are you doing now since you evolved from COVID?
I'm doing what I really, really love.
This is what the highlight of this show is. Lay it on us.
Yes, I love working with children. That's my passion. That's where I shine. That's where I feel like I make a huge difference. They love me. I love them. I get to share the word with them. I'm
That is
very
great.
passionate. I think I'm a good storyteller, like helping them
I know you are.
To
in
be
my humble
relatable.
opinion, I know you can tell
Thank
a
you,
good
Alan.
story.
a good real story, true story.
That's the only kind I tell.
Okay. Well, I get to share with them and then see them reflect what they learn by being in their presence.
And where are you doing this at?
I'm at ACAC.
Okay.
I've been there for about 4 years now.
So you're a teacher?
I am. After school, helping with their homework.
That is so cool.
Yeah. So that's my real passion.
Wow. So you found your passion at, I won't say the 35 reverse it age.
I love being 53. I love it. You only live once.
Yes.
And someone is always going to be older than you. Someone's always going to be younger than you. So you live your best life, and numbers doesn't matter.
I've never been this old before, and I'm aging as we speak.
And you're aging wonderful. You're looking good.
Thank you. We still got two more minutes to get any more insights. What would be your advice to somebody that wants to get involved with some of the things you've done?
Try it, and if you fail, use that as a stepping stool, not a stumbling block to say I can't
So
do
you're
it.
about not quitting,
No, don't
trying
quit.
things.
Trying, because
Like
we
I-
all got to try. We
Like
all
I
have to
tell
try.
people, I steal it off of Nike. I say, if you have an idea, we'll talk. Let's do it. They go, let's have a meeting. I said, you explained what we need to do. Let's do it.
That's right.
And then some people don't get back to you.
Right, and that's okay.
Yeah.
Just don't
that's
write them
good.
off.
Well, you've been a great guest here.
Thank you, Alan.
And we're going to have a little pause, and then we're going to bring your husband on, and we're going to close the show with about 9 minutes of talking about your interracial marriage.
Yay. I always wanted to talk about that subject.
All right, stay tuned. All right, I have my favorite couple here to tell you about themselves right now. We brought a gentleman in, the husband of Shonda. Please introduce yourself.
I'm Andre Weisbrod. I do foul up the computers because I use my middle name. The first name is John.
I appreciate that. Never heard that before, and I know you for 10 plus years. I'm honored. All right, Shonda, you told me you met Andre, his middle name Andre, in 2006 on something called MySpace.
Yep.
Then what happened?
Well, we talked on camera for quite a while. And then one day we was getting off. He had met all my children and everything. I thought he was the coolest guy. Being from, real quick, from Louisiana,
You can say that all throughout the show.
being from Louisiana, I didn't know a whole lot about the upper, like the north. And so when I thought of Pennsylvania, I'll never forget thinking Transylvania. So when I saw him, it was so hard to understand
That's hilarious.
where he was. So it was really, I was intrigued to meet him. But one day we were getting off the
Whatever the thing was.
our communication thing, and he did this little face at me, and I was like, I would never date this guy. And then before I know, we were dating, and it's been history, great history. He whisked me off my feet, literally.
This is a great story. For all you ladies and guys that need an inspiration, that's inspirational to me.
Yep, he did.
And when did you get married?
In 2011.
We're not counting.
Well, I just asked these questions because I met you in 2012 for the Hugathon.
Yeah.
And I didn't know how long you were married and all that other stuff. And you just made a great couple, a great impression on me, both of you, individually and together. And that's why I have you on, because I always share this, not in a mean way, but I was born in the Hill District. And if you say that, they think you had to be black. Well, I was born in 1956, 105 Pride Street. Now that's Mercy Hospital's ER. And I deal with a lot of different people with sports, and they go, you must be a bad man to have grown up there. I go, well, I grew up in Lily White Braintree. But my dad, we'd go back to the Hill District in the 60s until the riots, and the place got decimated and the Civic Arena was built. And he'd always introduce me to his friends. I didn't know if they were black, Polish, Hungarian, Italian,
nice?
Jewish. I didn't know. I just knew they were my dad's friends.
And that's how it should be.
And I've been fascinated with different cultures and different types of people, just in my travels around the world, or just in the ministry that I was in.
Sure.
I can't get enough of the different kinds of people, because they teach me, and they just warm me, because it's like, hey, here's God's creation, and he doesn't make flowers of all one color.
Right.
No, and me being a huge history guy and growing up where I did and being exposed to all these things, and then being in a workplace with 200 some guys, and we had over 20 black guys working with us, which was unusual. All the 11, 12 other unions were mostly lily white, as the offices at the Pittsburgh Press. The EEOC came in to sue because somebody sued. Our union was the only one to win our case, because our percentage was higher. And I have friends, one of my best friends, I'll never forget, he was like 5'5", a black gentleman named Keith Allen, Allen, like me, Williams. He was born exactly 1 year before me, June 30th, 1955. And we hit it off. That's why God's great. Who knew?
I know.
Just
and
something like
we
that.
didn't meet on a dating site. We weren't trying to date. And I sometimes think the best relationships are the ones that just develop, and then all of a sudden you say, hey, I really like this person. Let's get together. And,
I understand. That's why it's so cool, and I'm blessed by God to meet both of you and be friends with you. So I had to have you on the show. You had to wait, because I told you I had a list of 50-plus people. And you're in here today, and we're just talking about this. And what were your thoughts about, being an interracial marriage?
That's a good question. I'll never forget when we moved up to New Concord, and I had already prayed to God, but I was really having this thought. I don't know who I would meet, right? So
Right.
as far as color, it didn't matter. He needed to be a man that loved God first and would love me along with my children as one, not just,
And that's your
separated
thoughts
us.
going into anything, just
Right.
life.
Well, with us, because I didn't know who I was going to meet.
Specifically, yes.
Well, I didn't know who I was going to meet, so that was my blanket, to cover my relationship, letting God know it didn't matter who he put with me, long as he picked them for me. So
You trusted God.
I did.
it proves that God has a sense of humor.
Right.
Yes. Especially your sense of humor.
Right.
Yes.
Right. And so I met him. We ended up meeting, and I'll never forget, I was attracted to his mind. Andre has a great mind. I could just dial in and say, babe, what's this, what's that? But I'll tell you, when I got in his car, I act like I knew. I act like I had been in that car before. He had this little Spider. I didn't even know it was called a Spider.
Right.
I got in there. He took me to the movies. I didn't know he had set up a whole date.
Wow.
So after eating, we went to the movies, and the movie that was playing was Santa Claus 3.
No way.
Yes, Santa Claus
It's a
3.
great romantic
And
movie.
so my feet were
I think
so
it's the
cold.
opposite.
Look, my feet were so cold, and I was trying to sit there all prissy, right? And he told me his little story about a brick under the bed, and he told me, I'm a brick warmer. And so he actually warmed my feet, and he didn't even know me that well, but it was just really romantic.
Wow,
And the
thank you for
music-
sharing this.
And his music too that he played, which is what we talked about, the culture.
Right.
His music was not this normal music, it was all cultures, and that was attractive too, because he's
Sure.
that guy.
Well, I could understand just with his brain, because our minimum conversation time is about 57 minutes. Because we can both talk and we both know stuff.
Right, well, he's definitely, well, that's the main, that's what attracted me to him, is he knew so
Wow,
much.
that is so cool. Thank you for sharing that. I knew we'd go deep, but you went there.
Yeah,
And this is for others out there to trust in God, trust your gut, and have an open mind.
definitely have
That's
an
part of
open
my
mind.
theme here.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, it's,
Love
it's
God,
so
love
important.
people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
And what were
unfortunately,
what were
there's
your thoughts, Andre? We got to go deep on this. I know you're there already. So.
like I said, you know, we weren't. The objective wasn't dating. I just sort of saw her, you know, when I was, you know, some of the people came up, and I just introduced myself and said, hey, you know,
Well, here's
love
what
to
I'm
talk.
getting out of it. You were just looking for a friend to talk to.
He
Yeah,
was.
yeah. And I made
boiling
friends.
it down, yes.
Yeah, one of the great things about the internet was I was able to make friends in different parts of the world and still have them.
Amen, brother.
Yeah.
Me
But
too.
he saw me.
You know, and
that's-
then she became, you know, a real.
Well, I got to
online
interrupt
friend.
you. I consider Shonda a beautiful woman.
Mm-hmm.
I'm
you,
sure that
Alan.
thought came up with you.
Thank you,
It
Alan.
doesn't hurt.
That's his humor, folks.
But I liked her mind and her spirit, and you know her story. You know,
Right.
she fought through so many things. I mean, this is a strong, beautiful, courageous woman
Thank you.
who has accomplished more than most people would in the face of adversity.
And that's why you made it onto the Talking Machine show. Do you have any advice to give in, say, like 30 seconds, like a general thing that you'd give advice to anybody?
I would say, like you said earlier, be open-minded, trust God, number one, be open-minded, and go on an adventure, because that's what marriage is. People think it's something else. It's really an adventure. You know, we don't even hardly argue. Can I just say this?
Yes.
So I saw,
we still got time.
I saw Clooney. Was that his name, George?
George.
Yeah, and his wife, and they think celebrities have it all made, but they really don't. But I
Right.
love that they've been married 8 years.
Yeah.
And they hadn't argued
Different
ever.
backgrounds and everything.
But they have the same kind of relationship. They found they mate, and it just works.
No, that is great. I hope you were all listening. I'm hoping this will inspire you. Andre, any closing words, which I know you can handle?
Yes, be of love, a little more careful than of everything.
We're going to leave it on that show. Stay tuned for our 37th show with Andre. Shonda, thank you so much for being another
Thank you
great
for having
guest.
me.
And thank all of you for watching and your great feedback. Until the 38th show in a couple weeks.